This clip introduces to you some basic aspects required for identifying seeds, fruits, and chaff remains. It provides a first impression of what will be practically trained in the laboratory course offered in the summer semester. For those who will not continue with archaeobotany, the slides should serve to get a better understanding of the practical work of an archaeobotanist, which should be helpful for your future collaboration in interdisciplinary projects. What is a fruit? Remembering what you learned during your school time. A fruit is a flower in the state of seed maturity. It represents the entity which has developed from the ovule at the time of seed maturity. All parts of the flower that contain the seeds can be involved in fruit formation, including other parts of the plant, such as the receptacle or the peduncle. The main part of the fruit, which represents in most cases the edible part, is the pericarp that originates from the carpel. There are three main classifications of fruit types according to the number and degree of conation of carpels, the mode of seed distribution, and the pericarp type. The first classification is according to the number of carpels and their degree of fusion. 2 to 4 fruit types are differentiated: the apocarp or corycarp fruits with unconated carpels, visible in figure A, and 3 different varieties of cynocarp fruits with conated or partially conated carpels, visible in figures B to D. The second classification is according to the mode of seed distribution. Dehiscent fruit types, as visible on the left side, which distribute their seeds through fruit aperture, are differentiated from indehiscent fruit types, which distribute as whole fruits, as visible on the right side. The third classification is according to the pericarp type, which can either be a dry fruit, that is, the pericarp is dry and coriaceous to ligneous, or a fleshy fruit with a juicy pericarp. Here the combination of the 3 different fruit classification schemes. The different terms for the fruit types are provided here in German and not translated into English, but there's currently no need to learn these because you will get all this information again in the laboratory classes during the next semesters. Some aspects of fruit and seed development are of important morphological relevance to archaeobotanists. For example, the stalk of the ovule or funiculus remains visible on the seed as an attachment scar and is then called the hilum. For many species, the position and the shape of the hilum is a diagnostic part of the seed that enables identification. The seed coat or testa often wears a species characteristic surface pattern or texture and is also used in identification. Documentation of identified species plays an important role in archaeobotanical research, and this part will be trained particularly in the laboratory course next semester. Here a list of characteristics which are usually described in detail as working steps in seed identification and documentation. Here you can see some examples of different plant families with their typical seed shapes, showing in particular the position of the hilum. Here an overview on the 2 major crop families, the cereals and the pulses. In the cereals, the hilum is placed on the ventral side, not to be confused with the embryo on the dorsal side. Within the dicotyledonous plants, the embryo is placed between the two cotyledons of a seed, so is not visible without splitting the seed. In the monocotyledons, to which the grasses belong to, the embryo is visible. The pulses belong to the dicotyledons, so the embryo is invisible in a complete seed. The hilum, in contrast, is very obvious and an important diagnostic characteristic in this family. The shape of the embryo is also very diagnostic, but in carbonized seeds often not preserved. Here you see some typical shapes for seeds, described either for their two-dimensional outline or for their three-dimensional shape. Seed surfaces usually have very specific texture, either macroscopically visible, as in most of the examples here, or only visible at higher resolution, for example with SEM photography, as the example in the right corner below. The following slides only contain written information characterizing some of the most frequently found plant families in archaeological contexts. There is always a descriptive page followed by a slide with examples of plants and seeds. For better resolution, you may want to download the PDF of the presentation from Ilias.